Oh, I have
Yeah,
to
you
click
got to
it
do it
around
on
here.
here.
Yeah, you have to click all the stuff on there.
Okay.
But
For our analysis, we analyzed frequency response man. These are the results. We are Gabe, Austin, and Mike. We decided to model a very ideal, simple mass spring damper. But we were on a search for the ideal mass spring damper, and we considered many systems. We considered a boat, we considered a swing, we considered a horse, we even considered an ATV, but eventually we landed on possibly the most perfect model, um, a man. This is our perfect model, Dr. Yusevich. We went out into the real world to collect some data of Dr. Yusevich responding to some inputs as a mass spring damper, this very simple model right here. In our real world data, you can see that we froze him each frame and plotted the position of his shoulder and ankles. The shoulder is going to be our response, and the ankles are going to be our input functions. They're going to give us the frequency to know the forcing.
so this is our ideal model that we wanted to take a look at. This is our peak male model right here. So we had a lot of equations and they got super complicated, so we had to make a couple assumptions. Um, these are the free body diagrams we ended up coming up with. Is in this we decided to model Dr. Yusevich as a perfect rectangular mass. We eliminated the mass of his legs. We eliminated the mass of his head, and we decided that we were going to assume that his foot was always on the ground and that each of his legs had the same K and B constant with a forcing function pushing up. So we ended up getting this second order system where we had two equations that we could solve for. We took the Laplace transform and were able to get different frequencies from that. So this is our free body diagram that we ended up with. This is a better visual representation where we eliminated his legs as a mass. His upper body is a rectangle, and his lower body is represented by a single spring and a single damper. These are a list of our assumptions. Just to go back over, one is his body is a rectangular mass. Each leg has the same spring and damping constants, and that Dr. Yusevich's stride will be a constant spring damping force being applied to the system.
Okay, then we did some wizardry in Python. We plotted all the inputs of his shoulder and his feet. We combined the inputs of his feet to create more of a sinusoidal input shown in blue. And then we decided that this data wasn't super useful. So we split it up and we split it up to be able to match a sine wave to it using an optimization function. So on the right, you can see the sine waves that we got out of these outputs and inputs, and that let us know the average magnitude and frequency of both of these data sets. And then using some equations that our Dr. Yusevich taught us in class, we were able to find the spring value and the damping constant of Dr. Yusevich's legs so that we could be able to model him as a mass spring damper. And then we made some Bode plots just to be able to see how the frequency of his running is affecting the magnitude of his body movement and how that body movement could react as a phase shift. We found that Dr. Yusevich was an underdamped system. So that was pretty cool. Thank you for listening to us. Here's a fun little parkour video of Dr. Yusevich.
It's like watching a kid play at the playground.